Welcome to the Fall 2022 and Princeton preview video. Alright, we got a lot to talk about here. It's been kind of a slow summer. I've been working on the Cutlass. Dennis has put, how many miles have you put on that motorcycle this summer?
Let's see, I'm at about 3,500.
3,500. So he's been riding a lot. And Lonnie's been doing a lot of stuff, like getting his driveway repaved and all sorts of stuff. So it's been kind of a slow summer around here. We haven't really got to sled projects, as you've seen. And I want to apologize for that right now. Sorry. So with that said, let's start talking about the sled projects that we plan to do between now and when the snow flies. And when I say when we plan to do, what I mean is we plan to do all we can. We want to get back on the pace of working on sleds 2, maybe 3 nights a week. And of course, as we get more towards the sled season, that gets easier. Over the summer, we've been lucky if we could work on sleds 2 or 3 times a month, as you've seen from the videos. So, here we go. Another Speed Shop Fall 2022 projects. First project, we got to finish the Ultra. It's right there. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you a look around at the state of the state. I'll show you what the Ultra is like and a bunch of other things around the shop. And by the end, you're going to understand why I'm very sorry, but I just don't have time to take on your projects for you. This is a long list, isn't it? So, we got to get the XCR Ultra conversion done, and that's number one. And there's a lot of work left to do on this. Aside from the fact that this XCR wedge never was set up with the Ultra, we want to keep the cool XCR seat and gas tank. So we got a little more fabrication to do to get everything mounted out, get the airbox figured out. We've talked about that in some of the videos. We got at least 2, if not 3 more episodes before we pull the rope. I got to fix a bunch of cracked pipes. Unless somebody has a set of wedge hood, Ultra, or something similar pipes that we could put in there. Alright, the next thing. That video we did up in Duluth. Remember that trail ride with all the pedestrians on the trail?
Yes.
I'm going to put a card up here. If you haven't seen that video, go back and watch. We don't really show the pedestrians on the trail, but we have a good rant about it at the end. It was kind of funny.
That was the trip that my XLT finally took the crap.
Yep.
Electrically.
So it's sitting out there in the trailer with no spark. That's the next project. We're going to get this done, and we'll come back to that when we get to the Princeton shopping list. The next thing, you've seen us struggle with suspension issues on Lonnie's XLT. So we're looking for a set of extra 10 or extra 12, good quality gas front shocks that still have gas in them, so we're sure they're not full of water. We think these cheap hydraulic shocks that we put on there twice now, we think they were probably full of water. The other alternative on that is if you got an XLT with a bad motor, but otherwise a decent XLT, it looks nice, everything's good on it, especially if it's an extra 10 or an extra 12. We might buy that. We might just do a motor swap from Lonnie's into that. So if you got that, leave me some comments or hit me up at the Princeton swap. Suspension on Lonnie's. The bullwhip. Okay, I'm still missing some stuff from the bullwhip. I haven't had time to chase parts. I got to get back to the place I bought it because I think he actually has the motor mounts and the gears and the main stuff I'm missing. So, bear with me. The bullwhip is going to get done, and the plan is still to put a TXL engine into the bullwhip. And we are still hoping to have that done before the snow flies. Alright, Indy 600, my video's out there. I'll put a card up there for bought my Indy 600. It's an 83 Indy 600. It's a really nice match for my 83 cross country Indy. I got a bunch of work to do on that before I can ride it. It's a runner, but it needs a going through. We're going to do all the bearings. I've got a bunch of decals to put on. I know decals aren't super interesting, but at least if I cut it down to the before and after, it'll be cool. I've got some better trailing arms to put on it. I got a ton of stuff to do on the Indy 600, but the reality is that it's a super simple project that we do again and again, and 1 to 2 week project, maybe 4 or 5 episodes, and that's like doing twice weekly episodes. It's not a big deal. So that'll be done for sure, and we'll get back to that when we get down to the Triple Wars. Motor mounts for Valdi's Twin Track. Dennis, do you know anything about this?
I don't know that project.
Here's a surprise project for you. You guys loved the videos with Valdi. Valdi is quite the talker, isn't he? And he's a great guy. He's got this super rare...
a lot of sleds.
Oh, cool stuff. He's got this super rare Larson Twin Track, and it seems like it's a motor mount away from running. Although I know I'm going to end up doing crank seals, making sure it has spark, and rebuild his carb. Because if it comes over here, it's going to drive back on the trailer when I bring it back to Valdi's. It's a weird, odd, cool old sled. You guys are going to love it. I want to do this for my buddy Valdi. He's a great guy. All right, next one. R295 JLO into the Skedaddler. Are you a one-lunger guy? If you are, you probably know the legendary R295 JLO. It's like an L295, but it makes 24 horsepower instead of 17, 18, 19. Yeah, I don't really know why it makes 24 horsepower, because it literally uses the same cylinders. Who's coming in? Look at this, we got Brad here too.
Hey guys.
Welcome to the video, Brad. That was unplanned. We're going to work on the Ultra after the video. So, I've got a Skedaddler. I'll show you. It's kind of a hodgepodge, and it does not keep up with Greg's Skidoo Black Dot single cylinder 292. So I need to up the horsepower. So I've got this R295 JLO, which is the high performance of the L295 upstairs, and that is going to get put in the Skedaddler this fall, because Greg and I are going to do a bunch of one-lunger rides this year, and we'll film some of them. Speaking of one-lungers, Dennis has been talking about getting a one-lunger, and then Lonnie thought he wanted to go on. Brad, are you interested?
I'm interested.
So we're looking for one-lungers at the Princeton swap.
A little bit of project work.
Here's what we're looking for. Specifically, we'll jump over to the Princeton swap thing now. We're looking for something like a Scorpion, a Skedaddler, a Skirule, something with a German engine. We're not really looking for any Skidoos or Articats, but if somebody says, hey, I want to donate a 292 Lynx or a 292 Olympic to the cause for free, we'll take it. We know where to get parts. We know how to handle those. Skidoo parts, obviously, we've got Greg and we got my buddy Goose. Goose, if you're a Skidoo guy and you're into vintage, you should know who he is already. He's a great guy and he'll set you up with parts. All right, so that's the kind of stuff we're looking for. It could be a Skirule, a Skedaddler. It could be a Snowjet. Any of those around 1969, 70, 71, 72, German engine, one-lungers. And we'll be evaluating it mostly on the basis of cost and parts availability. If it's something that I can't get drivers for from my good buddy Rick Weaver, we're probably not going to touch it, because I don't know. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. It depends on how we feel about doing a track conversion. We would take a Colt. If we find the right Colt 250 one-lunger, 250cc, 72 to 77, 78, we'll show you how I do rubber track conversions on those. I've done a few. Some of them are out there racing in one-lunger races that I've done right now. It's a pretty cool conversion that I do. We do it with swap meet parts. It's easy to find stuff. So if you want to help us out with that, you want to see us do some one-lunger projects, flag us down at Princeton or leave some comments. Let me know what you got or what you're bringing.
TX also.
A TX? Brad's looking for... we got an ad. Forgot to point out, we're absolutely not looking for any Yamaha one-lungers. No thank you. No enticers, no inviters, none of that. I'm sorry. If you hate me for saying that I won't do a Yamaha and you're going to unsubscribe, okay, bye. I'm not doing any Yamahas. You'll never see a Yamaha in this shop. So pretty much anything else we'd entertain just based on the value and parts availability proposition. Seriously, even maybe a Skidoo or an Arctic Cat.
Ugh.
Arctic Cats aren't bad. They're like the brother to Polaris,
Stepbrother, yeah,
right?
right.
We got the Edgar
Sister.
Hateen in common. They got the same father, Edgar Hateen. Okay, I kind of like Arctic Cats.
Okay, back then to...
Back then, we covered one-lungers, clutching.
Oh, yeah.
So Dennis, this is back up here again to the top, almost the top of the Princeton shopping list. We're going to put a modern open-face P85 on Dennis's sled. He's already got it. It's a 32 millimeter bore clutch from a later sled. I think a 600. We like to use the 600 clutches, not the 800s. They're a little lighter, a little more rev happy on the old TXs. So with that said, we need a set of 1044 or 10 MR weights. They're really the same weights, although we want a match set. So if you're going to have a set at Princeton or we can get a set, let me know. We'd buy a couple sets because, or maybe even three, because Brad kind of wants a TX and Lonnie wants a TX. And truthfully, they work pretty good in TXLs too. So we're looking for the 1044 and 10 MR weights. New track. We have been splurging. Between Dennis, Lonnie, and I, we have purchased 4 brand new ripsaws. And yes, we got a hell of a deal because we bought 4 of them. So, Dennis wants to put a ripsaw on his XLT. Lonnie wants a ripsaw on his XLT. I'm putting one on my Indy 600. And then the last one is potentially for the bullwhip. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see how it works out with the stock bullwhip track. And I can use that on any Polaris, obviously, a 121 ripsaw. And that's another thing we may buy more of if we find them at Princeton is good, cheap used ripsaws. We don't care if there's like a lug or 2 torn as long as the belting's not torn. We're not super picky.
I think we're going to try to make a episode of tracks on the XLTs in one day. Lonnie's and I's. Do both of them in one day.
Dennis has issued me a challenge there. 2 tracks.
Doesn't sound too bad.
2 tracks one day. We'll turn on the timestamps on the camera and make sure they're accurate, and so you can follow along with what time of day it is and what we're doing. So
The second one should go quicker.
it never does.
Never does.
And they're complicated. Remember, the XLTs have the 4-wheel drives, so we actually have to pull the chain case off.
Yeah,
We can't just take the clutch side bearing off and do the maneuver with the drive
We gotta
shaft.
do what we did to this thing like 5 times already.
Yeah.
You're getting good at it.
Yeah. All right, we're going to stop and refill our beers there. We'll be right back with the beer crack. All right, we'll try to make it through the rest of the list in one beer. No guarantees. We left off with the new track. Now we're going to talk about back burner projects. These are projects that I've had waiting to get done for a long, long time. First one, 1974 TX 440 homebrew rubber track conversion. This is a sled I love. 74 TX 440. If you don't realize, that's the first year of the big fin TX 440s. It was a single pipe, but it had 38 millimeter carbs. I don't know how much horsepower it made, but it's a lot more than the 76 and up 440s at the little 34 millimeter. All right, I love that sled. You know, the main reason I love it is because it's way too much motor for the chassis, and it's clutch nice, and everything's nice. The problem is, it was a cleated track. It was a 37 cleat track, and the track's going bad, and the drivers are going bad.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Dr. Mario. Dr. Mario loves cleated tracks. Love you, Donnie. But I'm converting it to rubber track with studs because it needs the studs for the grip. This video is going to involve me machining up a new drive shaft out of hex stock. So really popular in my 4x4 videos is when I cut the splines, when I narrowed my Dana 60 front and I cut the splines in my axle shaft. I shortened and did it myself. I'll do the same thing on sled drive shafts. I've done quite a few. Sled drive shafts are even easier. They only have half as many splines, and they're soft. So I've wanted to get to that one for a long, long time. The next one, 1980 TXC Revival. So I've got this TXC that I built back 10, 15 years ago when everybody was huge into leaf springs, before the 90s sleds really started to come on strong. And our club was called the CCVSC, and we used to say that it meant cross country versus show crap. Okay, that's not really what it meant. It meant Chisago County Vintage Sled Crew. But we used to go on a lot of long rides, 65 miles to 100 and even 120 miles in one day. This is a sled I built for long haul. It's got an 11-gallon tank off a 92 XLT, and the track and the skid all off of that, and a reverse chain case, and a 440 from an Indys Sport. Just a fantastic leaf spring sled, but it's been sitting neglected in the trailer for about 3 or 4 years now. The gas smells nasty. Hope mice haven't got into it. I do have a mouse bucket in there that I periodically refresh, but it's time for that sled to come out of hibernation. So I'm hoping to get to that, but once again, that's a back burner. If we don't even get to that this winter, we'll get to it at some point. The next one, my one lunger racer. Insert picture of one lunger racer now. Alright, as you can see, that is a super cool sled. I hand built the bulkhead. It's got a 400L single cylinder Polaris engine out of an ATV in it. Tune pipe, HPD parts. It was dynoed at 71 horsepower, but it makes 0 horsepower right now. She's blowed up. So I want to resurrect it, and I want to make it run on 91 octane gas so that we can putt around and have fun at shows. We're never doing any one-lung racing again. I'm retired. Tommy, Speed Racer Zeller, is retired. We're just not doing it. But we would like to, have a little fun with the sled. You guys would probably love this thing because you just haven't seen anything like this. And this is an entirely hand-built chassis, really. I reused an old tunnel, but the rest of the chassis is hand-built, rolled chain case, hand-built bulkhead. It's good stuff. So I don't know when that's going to happen either. That's actually, literally, that's after the TX440 and after the TXC before I get to that. And then the last one is the Mascaro. A lot of you have commented on the Mascaro. You've seen it on the Cutlass videos on the shelf. It's that green sled on the pallet racking. So I don't live that far from Forest Lake, Minnesota. Obviously, a lot of you have figured out we're at EJ's Bar, so that's pretty close to Forest Lake. The Mascaro was made in Forest Lake in 1969 only. It's a fairly rare sled. I would like to find a new track for it. If I see a track at Princeton this year, I'm going to buy it. If I see a whole part sled, I'm going to buy it. It's got its SOX SA290, really the rotten track, and then going through the fuel system is the main work on that. If they ever do Oddball and Orphans again for the MVSS at ERX, you can be sure I'll have the Mascaro out for that. A little bit of a back burner. It's further down the priority. All right, that's the back burner stuff. Now, I want to talk about Triple Wars. So, I just mentioned MVSS. They always do a theme every year. This year's theme is Triple Wars. Last year's was John Deere. Anyways, this year's Triple Wars. And there's going to be all kinds of triples. And a lot of Polaris triples, because obviously Polaris made by far the most triples. But you'll see triples from Skidoo, from Articat, and from Yamaha. If you got a triple, get it out and get it going. My goal is to have my 650 and my Indy 600 both there. Dennis is going to have his XLT, Lonnie's going to have his XLT, and Brad over there, who's hiding off camera, is going to have this Ultra XCR we've been working on and his XLT both there. So we want to show up in force at Triple Wars. That's our personal goal. We hope to meet you there, and we hope you're bringing a triple, because we love triples. Let's see. Bottom corner here, the Valdi videos. Leave me some comments. If you like the Valdi videos, give me a thumbs up right now. Hit a thumbs up on this. And and leave me some comments. And go over to Valdi's channel, which I have linked on the Valdi videos, and leave Valdi a comment. Hey, I liked your videos over at Nutter Speed Shop on one of his videos. Valdi actually likes to hear that, believe it or not. The guy's got a great sense of humor, and I think he'd like to do some more videos and some more walk-arounds. I'm thinking maybe we need to walk around with that blade. What do you think? Do you want to walk around with that blade? Like I said, leave me a comment. If you're not sure what a blade is, there's a link to the Valdi video with the blade. All right, Princeton. Now we're on to Princeton. Here's the sticker. I'll give you a close-up. I have, I don't know how many stickers. I have 250 of these, 249 of these now. And I'm going to bring them to Princeton. This is the XLT on here. And I'm going to be giving them away, but if you want to make a donation to help out with the beer and pizza fund or the parts fund, we accept canned goods and we accept bottled goods. Dennis, want to show them what we like there?
This thing. It's almost empty though.
You recognize that green bottle of Dr. something? We like that. So
it's good on the trail.
Yep. And so hopefully we'll see you there, and you can get a sticker from me. Another thing I ask is I'm getting really close to the 1,000 subscriber threshold. I'd like to get pushed over the top so that we can start getting our $2.50 a month from YouTube, because then after a year, YouTube will buy us a case of beer. So anyways, what I'm saying is please subscribe. If I give you a sticker, please subscribe. If you followed this barcode, which really works on the sticker, and that's what got you to the channel, and this is the first video you're watching, please subscribe.
If you want more than one sticker, take more than one, give it to your friend.
Yeah, we're good with that, as long as your friend subscribes. We really would like that to push over the top on that 1,000 subscribers. And as you can see, I'm drinking the Nasty Lights now, so canned goods, well, you're going to have a hard time insulting me. I like Nasty Lights, or Coors Lights, or Mick Golden Lights, or all kinds of canned goods. Princeton shopping list. Ta-da! I love the Princeton swap. Beer for the Princeton swap.
Throwing out the money.
The Princeton swap, Princeton, Minnesota, Outlaw Grass Drink swap meet is my absolute favorite swap meet to go to. Blows away heydays if you're into 70s, 80s, and 90s sleds. You'll walk all heydays and you'll find a fraction of the 70s and 80s stuff that you're going to get at Princeton. And there's a good amount of 90s stuff now. I love this swap meet. I hope to meet you there. This is the place. If you want to meet me, Dennis, and Lonnie, for sure we'll all be there Friday. Maybe Brad. I don't know. All right, so Princeton swap. I got a good friend. I don't know that he's going to appear on camera, but he really wants to get into vintage sleds, and he says reliability is his number one issue. He's really worried about vintage sleds being unreliable. And he's a little worried about leaf spring. He's only ridden modern rider forward sleds. All right. The solution is a TXL Indy or an Indy cross country. Those TXL motors are obviously one of the most bulletproof motors of the entire vintage era. They're fantastic. They make good power. I know how to clutch them and gear them and track them and everything else. So I'm looking for a TXL Indy project for this guy. So I don't want a restored sled. I don't want a sled that's done. We want a project to do on the channel. If it's cosmetically decent, we don't want a great, but if it's decent, but the motor's stuck, the motor's missing, it needs to be gone through, the bearings are junk, the skid's junk, we're looking for something like that. We're looking for a good price on that.
Not quite a full roll of duct tape to hold the seat together.
Yeah, he may well end up with the seat cover. That's what we're looking for. So if you can help us out with that at the Princeton swap, or if you've got one and you aren't going to be at the swap, if you want to let me know about it, if it's within reasonable driving distance up here of the Forest Lake area, maybe we'd come and get it. So that's a big one, and that'll be a great project for the channel. You can go back and look at my cross-country Indy project. It won't be exactly the same, but you know,
We gotta find it first.
we gotta find it first.
Yeah.
Farley says hi. Farley actually says there's an airplane flying by and she's barking at the propeller sound. Farley, shh. Come here. Good girl. All right. We've talked about the one-lunger. We've talked about the P85 32. Hi, Farley. Do you want to go outside now? Okay. Sorry about that. Farley just wants to go investigate whatever noise she thinks she heard. So, the one-lunger, back to that. You guys know what we're looking for. German motor era one-lunger. 32 millimeter bore P85, so that's like what, 600 from 2010 on, maybe a little earlier. We're looking for that. XLT for Dennis, we're looking for that.
Ignition parts.
Ignition parts.
How do you know what?
How do I know what XLT ignition parts
No,
are?
I mean, are we just gonna buy all of them because we don't know what's wrong with it yet?
Probably.
All right.
And you know how I know what XLT ignition parts are? Because they look like they're XLT ignition parts. They don't look anything at all like 650 or Storm or Ultra parts. They only look like XLT ignition parts.
All right.
So it's not a big deal. Here's one that,
Ooh.
this is a wild card. I surprised Dennis with it. He didn't even read it up until now. If I find a nice XLT, because I'm feeling like I got to get in the XLT club. Dennis has got one, Brad's got one, Lonnie's got one. I'm feeling like I'm not in the XLT club. So if I find the right XLT for the right price, especially, I really like it if it's got vintage era pinstriping on it. But I want a stock pipe. I want a stock sled.
And you want a project still?
Well,
By nice, do you mean it could be?
I want cosmetically nice, and after that, I don't care. I don't
Okay.
care if I gotta rebuild the motor, find a motor,
Again, less duct tape, the better.
Yeah, go through the entire mechanical and brakes and everything. I
Clean
don't
the
care.
carbs.
Right, seat cover. Yeah, I'll throw a seat cover on it, but I want to. If I find one with a nice hood with some vintage pinstriping on it, especially if it's a what was Steve's White Bear Graphics.
Beartown.
Beartown Graphics, Steve Lazinski. If you got an XLT with a Steve Lazinski Beartown Graphics hood, I'd love to have it. Otherwise, a creeper hood would be great too, or anything else.
Do you have a special year you want?
Nah, just a wedge hood.
All right.
Just a wedge XLT. And then the last thing is front shocks for Lonnie, extra 10, extra 12 front shocks. We're not too picky, like I said. We want some Fox gas shocks that still have a charge in them. Good enough shocks. We're not going to rebuild them. We just don't want them full of water like the last two sets of shocks that we put on for Lonnie. Because you know where we found those shocks? We found them in my junkyard. And those are the junkiest junk shocks. And we all act surprised when they had water in them. But honestly, the old hydraulic shocks, when the sled's been sitting out for a long time, it happens. And we believe that's really what's going on with Lonnie's front end.
Somebody called the doctor.
Is the doctor here? Can you get it open or is it stuck shut?
No, that's good. That's good.
Oh, cracker. All right.
What are you calling cracker?
I want to say a huge thanks to my patrons on Patreon. Aaron Shriver and Michael Johnson. You guys rock. We appreciate the support for the Beer and Pizza Fund. And for the rest of you...
Dog treats.
Dog treats, the Dog Treat Fund. If you want to support us on Patreon, the link's in the description. Please do. If you're too far away to meet us at the Princeton, that's a good way. If you got more technical questions for me, becoming a patron will get you better access for me to answer technical questions for you. Not that I know everything, but I'll answer what I can. Subscribe.
Hit the button.
Hit that button. Hit it right now. We got to get over 1,000. That's the goal. We got to do it. And I'd love it if we broke 1,000 before we completed the full 12 months, because I started the XLT project about Halloween last year. So we got we're 2 months away from that. We're 10 months in. We're at 881 subscribers at last look. So I need another 119 subscribers, hopefully in the next 2 months to meet our goal of 1,000 subscribers in the first 12 months since we started Sled Projects. All right, enough on that. So, way at the beginning I mentioned I'm super busy and it's not all sled stuff. Holy cow, do I got a lot going on. This is my non-sled stuff list. Yeah, I better take a shot. Brad's out. All right.
Now there's even less.
Yep, we need some help on Patreon with that bottle fund. Non-sled stuff. You guys have been watching the Cutlass project. I'm done. It's done unless something weird, crazy happens. If something blows up, it might make a video. But the Cutlass is basically done for the present time.
Time to put the cover up, the top up, and put it away for the winter.
Well, we got some car shows first.
Car show season.
We got some good car shows, and we're going to talk about car shows at the end. So non-sled stuff. We've got the YJ Dana 44 project. I know there's a lot of guys that are off-road guys that remember me from writing the Nutter Bypass 25 years ago, roughly. And you're watching this, watching the Jeep stuff. We're going to finish out the YJ project. I don't know that we're going to necessarily get them installed in Greg's Jeep this year because Greg is also a sled head and Greg is also shifting over to Sled Projects. So it might be next spring before we actually get those Dana 44s in. But I'm gonna set up the second set of gears. I'm going to do that off camera. You guys just watch me set up another set of gears. We'll probably have a video on how we put together all the ball joints and U-joints and bearings and all that stuff. And then that'll probably be the end of that for this year. So, like one more video probably. Bear with me. The next one. My Camaro's got a 5.3 LM7 LS in it. And it lost oil pressure and it's out. The motor's out. It's all apart. We'll show you the table full of parts. Alright, I'm going to put this somewhere in that video, maybe towards the end. Here's the state of the state in Nutter Speed Shop. This is what condition my condition is in. Yeah, Brad's XLT, no change since the last video. Although, note that milling high volume oil pump there. So that milling high volume oil pump and various other things are going on this 5.3 that's got to go in my LS. Yeah. Well, by the way, that's the Mascaro I was talking about. All right. There's Greg's axles. Underneath those regs is the gear I set up last week. You can see the rear end isn't even started yet. And then over here on the table, more LS stuff. So that's the condition my condition is in. I got project upon project upon project. I'm not going to do a video on that. I just want you to know that I have a lot of work to do on that, and that's one of the things that's been distracting me while the videos have slowed down to like once a week. I got to get that back together. I got to get the Camaro back on the road because the Camaro is hogging up my lift, and the next thing that needs to go on my lift is Dennis's pickup. Dennis has got the typical Silverado rear shock mounts have turned into that brown flaky powder. It's not the protective brown oxide coating anymore. It's just
gone.
It's just gone. So I got to get the Camaro done so we can get the shock mounts fixed on Dennis's. Also, no video. There's got to be 30,000 videos of guys that have done shock mounts on early 2000s Silverados.
Basically, we're replacing the entire cross tube.
Yeah.
And the mounts that hold the shocks. I heard this noise when I'm driving down the road. It was the shock hitting the bed of the truck because it had broken off.
Yeah. So
it's not even that old of a truck.
Once again, I apologize if you guys, I know some of you really, really would love me to take on your projects. There's just no time. We got so much stuff going on.
You gotta get that stuff off the lift. I need a shifter and an oil change.
Yep, Brad's Roadrunner needs to get up on the lift too. And that'll probably happen in between the Camaro. So maybe we'll do a short video and show you Brad's unbelievable, awesome 1973 Roadrunner. If you'd like that, leave us some comments. It's a
sweet.
Cool car. Big block. A walk-on project, and what I mean by this would be the TXL Indy we're looking for at Princeton. If we find that, that might be a walk-on project. There might be something that surprises us. Get surprised all the time by sleds that pop out of nowhere, and they're so cool you got to just get them running. Those are the type of things that might be a walk-on project. Unfortunately, once again, the walk-on project won't be your rusty 1982 Cutlass SS. So, once again, looking for a TXL Indy. And then the last comment I got here, I got a lot of views and a lot of comments when I did the rock crawling video with the Duluth Off-Road Association, DOA. I think a lot of people like that. If you want to see more of that, and maybe I'll get a cameraman to come with me and shoot some video of me and my Jeep, it's a possibility that we might get some rock crawling videos in this fall. If you want that, leave me some comments on that so we know.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. So with that said, I think I'm going to give you a view of the list, and I'll give you a little view of the state of the shop, and we'll see you at the Princeton swap. It's actually Thursday today. In 7 days, me and speed racer Tommy Ziller will be at the Princeton swap.
Oh, don't forget about this weekend, the car shows.
Oh!
You're going to the Gearhead, right?
Yep, this weekend. This will get a little dated really quick, but we're going to the Gearhead get-together in Maple Lake this weekend. Oh. I'm not bringing the XLT stickers. Please don't ask me for one. Those are going to Princeton. I'll just have Cutlass and Scout stickers there if you see me. And then the last car show, thanks for the reminder, Brad. It used to be called Cruise for the Troops. They're changing it to Freedom Fest. It's a show and a cruise by the Invisible Wounds Project. My buddy Chad, you've seen him on the channel several times. He's an Arctic Cat guy, loves Arctic Cats, and he's on the board of directors for the Invisible Wounds Project. We go every year to support him. That's one of the last weekends in September. I'll put the link down in the description.
That's a good ride.
It's a great cruise.
It's bikes, cars, trucks, new, old, anything.
We don't know what catastrophes may befall us between then and there, but I'm planning on driving the Cutlass. Dennis is probably going to drive the Scout with the Indian dirt bike in the back of the Scout. Brad will be in the Roadrunner.
Saratoga.
And then Lonnie will be in the pink car, we hope. We'll find out. If not Lonnie, Brad's daughter, somebody. You guys don't even know what the pink car is yet. Oh, you're going to love the pink car. It's actually pink.
And it's not
Salmon.
a Cadillac.
It's not a Cadillac. It's a Chrysler Saratoga with a big block. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my patrons. And we'll see you at Princeton in 7 days. Actually, less for you, because you'll see this video the next day or the day after. Just pause this if you're having trouble reading. Thanks to Aaron and Michael. Please give us some help there on Patreon. That'd be much appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe.